Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. Popping on here today to talk about what is shadow work and how can it possibly benefit you. So if you guys are on here, hello. I'll give everybody a second to kind of pop on. But I'm just going to keep talking because I know most of you guys will probably catch the replay of this. So if you're watching the replay, very, very grateful for you. And I'm curious if you know what shadow work is. If you've done any shadow work, what kind of shadow work have you done? What have been the results you've had? Hi, Sahil. Happy you're on here. I'm going to be talking about shadow work today. I'm not too sure if you know what shadow work is, but I'm going to kind of be explaining that a little bit. So I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way where you feel like people see the good in you, but sometimes you are seeing the bad stuff within yourself, your bad behaviors, your shadows. And also our thoughts, right? Our thoughts that maybe aren't serving us, the negative thoughts, the judgments, the things about ourselves, the things about other people. Those are kind of like in like the spiritual world and in the personal development world, we call shadows. And what shadow work is really just illuminating what the darkness is within us. And yeah, it's interesting, eh? And once you start learning more about this and how the outside world really reflects what's inside and vice versa, it's a really, really fucking cool thing. So I'm going to explain it to you. So when we're born, when humans are born, right, we're kind of a blank slate. Hi, Vic. Hi, Vinny. So happy you're on. When we're born, we are a blank slate, right? We are a soul incarnated into a human body and we have our mind. So when you can start understanding how the mind, the body, and the spirit or the soul kind of interact, you can start having a lot more understanding on what it means to be human and also how we can move through life in a way that is more enjoyable for ourselves and is more in alignment and more meaningful. And so when we are born, we have our soul that's incarnated into our human body. And this is just my belief system from what I've kind of explored. So feel free to take from it what you will and leave what doesn't resonate. And I hope my phone doesn't die because my screen just dimmed. This happens all the time. I really don't think about things before I start doing them. I just kind of am on a whim. So let me see if I can get my car started and plug my phone in. And then I will continue talking about this. And it's probably going to kick over to my Bluetooth. Maybe on the phone thing. Let's see. Okay, so can you guys still hear me? Can you just let me know in the comments if you can still hear me? That would be like epic. I'm gonna make sure that can you guys hear me? There. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Vic. Okay, so when our soul is incarnated into our human body in this lifetime, we're a blank slate, right? Our mind, when we're from 0 to 7, is purely subconscious, right? So what that means is that we do not have our conscious mind to be able to say yes or no to things, right? And so when that happens, we basically are sponges of our environment. And my belief, the spiritual beliefs that I have, when we incarnate on this planet to the mission that we have within our soul, we already know the family that we're coming into. We already know all of this stuff. And we choose to come into this family, into this environment, knowing all of the programming that's going to happen, knowing that it's going to serve our highest good for whatever our soul mission is. And when we come to the planet, we have karma to pay off. And we also have legacies and contributions to bring. And a lot of the time we have to pay off karma, or maybe we're building karma, right? So it depends on your soul's journey in this lifetime, what that kind of looks like. But when we incarnate into the human body, the mind is what dictates our behavioral patterns and the fears and all of these things. The mind is very, very complex. And so in those first 7 years, this is where our mind is picking up all of the behavioral patterns, okay? And so that's why when you look back at your parents, you're a lot of the stuff that you're currently doing now, depending on how old you are, is very likely the same behavioral patterns that you see in your parents that you kind of hate. Can anybody else relate to that? I know my mom is like late for everything and it drives me up the wall. And sure enough, here I am, late for everything, right? So it's like just all these behavioral patterns that we pick up. And So when it comes to the shadow work, basically, as we continue moving through life, we shift a lot of these patterns ourselves, right? We're like, okay, I don't like this about myself. I'm going to go change it, right? And we just go ahead and we change these things. However, when it comes to the shadow work and what a spiritual awakening is spiritual awakenings can happen by something very drastic that happens in our life. It could be like a near-death experience. It could be a car accident. It could be a family member dying. It could be, for me, it was a relationship of 6 years ending, something that completely wipes the slate. And with everything happening going on in the world right now, that's why they've been saying, like, everything happening right now with the virus and everything like that, with all of the financial struggles and the wars and all of this stuff, these are all big spiritual awakening moments. Yeah, I know, Vic, you had a big trauma that was yours as well, right? Yeah, and so it's different for everybody what these spiritual awakening experiences are. And then other people have gradual spiritual awakenings. And those people, I'm like, I wish that I could have had a gradual spiritual awakening. Mine felt like I was freaking going like head first down into something. It would get a little bit better and it's like, no, just kidding. And it's like a roller coaster, right? And you're like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? Illusions just freaking fading, and you're now standing in a world that you don't even recognize, feeling like a lone wolf in a world that you're like, oh my gosh, this world is so different than what I had thought it was my whole entire life, right? So when it comes to shadow work and your spiritual awakening, a lot of these things start becoming illuminated. And we can start seeing a lot of these behaviors or shadow aspects within ourselves, which when we focus on them, right, law of the universe, what we focus on expands. And it's the same thing as our emotions. When we really focus on what's not going right in our lives, when we focus on what we don't like about ourselves, it expands. And it expands in our body and it makes us focus on it even more, right? So it's like if we have a reticular activating system in our brain, which basically it seeks out and repeats patterns. Right? So if I am focusing on this, which is a shadow aspect of my life that I maybe don't like about myself, that I'm late for everything, and I'm looking at it and that's the only thing that I can see, then it's going to expand and I'm going to start creating a even more debilitating sense of self-worth based on me focusing on that shadow aspect. So shadow work is basically a process, which the spiral is a process that is shadow work. And a lot of the coaches and different things that you will see that you can hire, they teach you how to shift through these behavioral patterns and shift through the shadow work a lot quicker. They provide you with the tools to be able to really start understanding what is happening in your life so you can start transmuting all of these behavioral patterns and start shifting into your highest timeline or into your life legacy of what you're here, your soul has came to this planet in order to create in this lifetime. And so if you think of the subconscious mind like a cave, right? So if you see it like a cave and it's a very dark cave and you don't know what's in that cave, right? It can feel intimidating to be like, oh my gosh, like I don't even want to know what is inside there. You know, I've experienced so many emotional things in my life, or maybe we've suppressed all of our emotions, right? I know that was me, right? A lot of people do that where we've grown up in this society where it's weak to cry, or it's not like when you start crying, then your family member immediately tries to like make you feel better and tell you to stop crying, right? Whereas expressing these emotions, whether it's anger or sadness or crying or all of these things, it's so healthy for humans to be able to, to process those emotions, right? And so when we have all of this stuff packed down in that subconscious mind, it's like this cave is getting full and full and full and full. And then we start feeling crappy about ourselves, right? We start feeling like these identities and these shadow aspects of ourselves they're us, right? Like they are us, right? So if I'm angry, then I start seeing myself as an angry person when in reality, it's simply just like an expression of the way that we're feeling in that moment, right? It's not an identity. It is simply an expression of who we are in that moment, which it's fine to be able to express these things. And so what this does is when we keep pushing them down, it's limiting what we're capable of achieving in this lifetime, right? It makes us feel like we're not good enough. It makes us feel that like these dreams that we have inside of ourselves aren't possible, when in reality, they're possible for all of us. And so what shadow work is if you imagine like taking a flashlight and starting to shine it down into that cave and taking a look at these things one by one and taking them out and witnessing them and seeing them. and being able to be like, oh, wow, that's why I am the way that I am. When I was X years old, that happened. And that really created that pattern, that behavioral pattern for me. And being able to bring awareness to it and starting to find compassion for our journeys and forgiveness for our journeys and really being able to honor the journey that we've been on will start allowing those energies to fade. And once we start taking those things out, and slowly over time, as we continue doing this shadow work and start repivoting and focusing on the things that we do want to bring in, that the load starts getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then eventually you're like feeling like a lot higher vibe, right? And if you've been following my journey for a while, you've probably noticed that about me, that my energy has changed so much. And it's because I've been doing a lot of this shadow work. You know, it's really digging past all of your past life experiences so far. And I just turned 31. So quite a lot of experiences that we've had that we maybe have undervalued, right? And really being able to take a look at those things and start finding appreciation for everything that we've been through. It doesn't need to be a comparison of traumas between what other people are going through and what we're going through and all this stuff. It's really just about honoring your own journey and what you've been through. I'm just going to read through the comment here. Mike says, sounds like when Luke visits Yoda in episode 5 and goes into the dark side cave to confront himself. 100%. I'm going to laugh at this, Mike, but I've never ever seen Star Wars ever in my life. But I know a lot of movies have these different analogies in them that are all just spiritual analogies. And you can look at it all different ways. And so when we start looking at all of these shadow aspects, what becomes possible for us? Right? When we start transmuting them, we start seeing all of the good values that we have and all the value that we do have to provide. And we start showing up in different ways with our thoughts, and we start motivating ourselves and encouraging ourselves and loving ourselves more. And we start allowing that to ripple out into our values and our belief systems and into our behaviors and the way that we show up in the world. We start showing up in less of the lower frequency emotions of the shame, the fear, the guilt, the anger, all of these things. And we start ascending into these higher frequencies of love and peace and joy and courage, and being able to shift into that, which is, if you look at the scale of consciousness, you can just Google that. You'll see that in the bottom, you have kind of force. When we're in the lower frequency emotions, when we're really in those shadow parts, we're forcing our way through life. And a lot of it is out of control, which is a lot of out of our belief systems that we've kind of picked up from the society that we live in. A lot of it is based out of control, instead of when we're in the upper half of the higher frequency, we're more in flow, which just means that we're more tapped into something greater than ourselves, and we're able to see a bigger picture. We have a more expanded mind into our lives and the lives of everybody around us. And when we start doing that, we start having more compassion for ourselves. We start having more compassion for others. We start finding unconditional love instead of, oh, my love only goes to you when you act this way or you don't act this way, right? Which is a lot of the way, well, the majority of the way that we've been raised. And once we start seeing and having higher self-esteem within ourselves, then we start seeing that all of these dreams and things that we're wanting to do, whether it's to increase your finances so you don't have to continue going to work and not be home with your family and your friends, or if you want to shift careers, maybe you've been doing your career for a long time and you're really wanting to shift into something new that's more aligned and more passionate about you. You're like, you know what, like I am worthy of making this change, right? Or maybe it's just going out and doing different things, different hobbies. Maybe you have something that's really been exciting you lately. You want to go do a different class or a different this or a different that, or go do a different program or hire a coach or all of these things. And you start being like, okay, you know, like I'm worthy of this. And then you start making those shifts and making those changes, right? And so this is the power of what shadow work can provide for you. And this is a process that happens naturally on its own. It happens throughout our life, part of our own spiritual awakening as we ascend, which the whole planet is ascending right now. So everybody is ascending at different rates and different speeds and different times. But it's a process that happens naturally, right? We're naturally going to be seeing these parts of ourselves. So just know that when you are seeing these shadow parts of yourselves, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're unworthy of receiving certain things in your life. It simply means that you're human, right? You're human as fuck. You're human as fuck. And everybody has this. It's just that most of the time we don't actually verbalize it. We don't actually share it with people, right? We keep it hidden in that cave, which then it just starts eating us up, and we start building these like warped perceptions of who we are. And I'm still working through them all as well. I still doubt myself. I still do all of these things, right? It's a journey that once we understand how this process works, we can take this this understanding, this universal understanding, and incorporate it into our lives for the rest of our lives. Because we are continually evolving. We are continually growing and learning throughout our lifetime until we die, right? And then my belief is that we get to then reincarnate and choose to do it again if we want to keep learning, depending on how evolved your soul is and what you want to do, right? It's free will. So wanted to kind of come on here and explain shadow work to you, and also to let you know that I do have a group of the spiral that's going to be starting the week of April 11th. And I do still have 3 spots left in it. So if you're wanting to dive deeper into the shadow work in a more controlled environment and in a guided, facilitated way that is proven to work and accelerate you through what you're currently going through in a lot quicker and easeful and less painful way, then let me know, because I'm all about having massive growth, but not fucking it being so painful. A lot of the time we sit in things and think we have to figure things out ourselves a lot, when in reality we don't. We can choose. There's so many different ways out there for us to start shifting this stuff without having to do it all on our own. And when we can open up our mind to receive that help and that support and that guidance from people that you trust, and friends and family and different mentors and coaches, like, it truly will accelerate everything in your life. So that if that's something that you're feeling called to, then definitely reach out and let me know, because I would be like really honored to be able to guide you through that intimate process of you kind of uncovering and unpacking all of the things that happened in your past that are holding you back from really living into the person that you're wanting to become and creating the life that you want to live, because we truly are all capable of living that life. You know, like these dreams and these goals and these visions that we have inside of ourselves, they weren't put in them inside of ourselves by an accident, right? The dreams that are inside of me aren't inside of you, and it's for a reason. And the past that I've experienced is different from the past that you've experienced for a reason. And when we can start unpacking all of that stuff and really aligning what all of those past experiences actually meant, and understanding what our desires are and the things that excite us and the things that we're passionate about, and we start aligning our actions with those things, whoo, that's when life freaking gets so exciting and changes so much. And we all have such different ideas and stuff to bring to the world. And hey, you start seeing all the shitty stuff that's happening in the world, and it's like, the world is only showing us these things because it's ready for solutions. It's ready for things to change. Like, this is a huge part of like revolution that we're in right now, and it's going down in the history books, and you're a part of it. And they do say only the strongest souls come to earth, and I totally believe it, because it's not an easy journey. So celebrating you for the journey that you're on. Oh, Mike, you want to join? Yeah, let me join you in. Yeah, celebrating you massively for the journey that you're on. Hey, Mike,
Oh, hey Laura.
how's it going?
Doing quite well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Did you get moved in?
Mhm. Yes.
Wow, in the new
So
place.
much so much has changed. I have a bed now. Yeah.
Wow. That's so great. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was interesting
Your
listening
internet's a
to you
little
talk
shoddy
about
there, Mike.
shadowing.
So, sorry, your internet's a little bit slow, but continue. We can hear you.
Yeah, no, it's just things are really looking up. So, but definitely working on the patience. So I feel like that's my dark side.
Yeah. Yeah, patience is huge. It takes a lot of patience to go through this, because it's easy to want to give up. I know I do that all the time, at least once a day. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, so um once you confront it, you're always confronting your dark side then. it's all
It's okay. Keep talking, Mike. We can hear you.
well. I'm kind of stumbling here. I'm just thinking, like, it's always a constant battle of light and darkness, but you can't have the darkness without light. Um, like having the bad experiences makes me more grateful for the good ones, where I
Yeah.
couldn't tell the difference. I know
Hmm.
it's like thinking if everything was light all the time, it'd be kind of boring, I think, or dark,
Hmm.
whichever.
Yeah, and we would stop growing, right? Because the only way we can evolve is when we actually take a look at those shadow parts. Because in reality, all the shadow parts are is the saying that says God won't give you anything that you can't handle, and that's the truth of it. Is that when these shadow aspects start coming up, they come up in doses. They come up in small, little, tangible amounts that the universe knows that we're going to be able to handle. And without that happening, the universe would never be pushing us to grow. And humans are here to grow. We're here to learn. We're here to expand. And without that darkness, we truly wouldn't continue growing. So there is like massive polarity. We live in a world of polarity, but like all the polarity is there so that we can really appreciate it and not attach to either the darkness or the light. And that's all non attachment is, right? It is being able to flow through the darkness and the light and understanding that being a human, that's the experience. That is the human experience, is rolling through all the light and the darkness.
Um,
Yeah, it's definitely like I found recently, like I've had a lot of anger come up with a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world. And I know that me allowing myself to feel and express those emotions has definitely given me more motivation to be able to speak more about my beliefs and my way of seeing the world and encouraging other people to continue living into what they see for the world. So it definitely like sometimes we all need that kick in the ass where when the darkness does get pretty heavy and pretty shitty, that like that is what makes us move, right? Humans, when the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same, then that's when we actually move. And it's just a part of the human journey again that we kind of need pain sometimes to get our ass moving.
Wakefield, and his name.
Yeah. Hmm. For sure. And it's like, when we hang on to things, I've been actually moving through this a lot lately. So sorry, Mike, your internet's kind of crappy.
Well,
Here,
I'll
Mike, I'm gonna kick you back to the comments. I don't know if I can do that, but okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on here, Mike. I wish your internet was a little bit better so we could hear you a little bit better, but you're welcome. I will talk about what you just shared. You're so welcome. Bye, Mike. About like hanging on to things, and it's interesting that you shared that, Mike. Okay, bye, Mike. Um, there, that might be better, guys. About hanging on to things. I know I've been working through this a lot lately about resentments and understanding how many resentments I've actually hung on to over the years and how much shame and guilt I've felt that I've really like hung on to within my body and how it's dictated my perception of the world and of people. And it's incredible how it's just we're so ingrained to hold on to things and attach to certain things. And I've been learning a lot about this from my work that I've been doing with Julia, and in Recover and Rise in module 4, it's all about resentments and how we hold this anger either toward ourselves. When we don't forgive ourselves, we hold this resentment for ourselves, which makes us feel shameful, guilty, which then drags down our vibration. Or when other people do things to hurt us and we either feel bad for what we did or we just feel hurt from the other person, and then we hang on to it and we just carry it around like baggage that's in a backpack. And that's why I love the emotional clearing work too, is because you can literally muscle test into your body to discover this stuff. But if you are struggling with resentments, Recover and Rise is like an incredible, incredible program. It's an online course. We are currently running, we're actually in our last week this week, week 10, for the group coaching portion of it. But we do have it now offered as an online course. And Julia has put this together, and she's been in the recovery space for, I think, 10 to 15 years now. And she is just so knowledgeable about all this stuff. And she's been teaching me so much, and having me, she's like mentoring me to be able to kind of carry on her work as she shifts more into her artistry and into her music work, which I'm so excited and grateful to be able to pass on these tools and this knowledge and stuff. And it's something I know when I'm chatting with Julia as well, and she says the same thing, where it's like, it's a lifetime of work. And the stuff that's in Recover and Rise, like both me and her always going back to these modules over and over and over again as stuff come up in our lives. We're like, we'll call each other and we'll be like, this is what we're going through. She's like, okay, go to module 4. I'm like, okay, gonna go to module 4. And then I'm like working through it. And it's incredible when you have the right questions to ask yourself, and you can start expanding your mind and your awareness to new things about yourself, how much you can actually shift through things and how much energetically lighter you feel after those breakthroughs. So yeah, resentment, huge. Is anybody else? Hi Babber, I'm excited you're on here. And Shannon, I'm happy that you're on here again as well. Hello, hello. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? I'm gonna pop off here. I'm kind of like, I'm feeling like a dog that's trapped in the car and I'm starting to sweat. So I'm gonna pop off here, but I'm so grateful that all of you guys were on here to chat, and I hope you guys are having a good day. Does anybody else have anything they want to share in the comments before I pop off? Or any questions about shadow work, about how it can benefit you, anything about the spiral? It's starting. We should definitely chat on here sometime, Shannon. 100%. I'll send you a message. We can set up a time to do a live. Awesome. Okay. Well, when you aren't too warm, yeah. I'm not like sweating sitting here. It's so beautiful out though. Oh my gosh, it's like incredible. Okay. Yes. Well, I love you guys all so much. Thank you for being here with me. And if you have any other questions about what shadow work is, if you're unsure about what you're moving through, unsure about how to get through it, unsure how you can really like break through to the next thing that you're really wanting to call in, then feel free to reach out and let me know at any point. I'm getting better at responding to my messages. I've been clearing out my schedule a lot lately to provide more space for this platform, because it's really been like I've had this big desire to want to be more present on here, but I've had so much shit going on in my personal life that I haven't had the capacity to. And I've really been getting things aligned in my own life so that I can show up more on here and just be on here and chat with you guys, because it does light me up so much. But yeah, very grateful for you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will chat with you guys all very soon. Bye.